Okay, so we're gonna fill you in on what went wrong at our first race at Cecil County, because we told you that we were gonna be there and we were gonna race and keep you in for each run, but that didn't happen. We were there. We did make it. We made a point to make it. We weren't sure if we were gonna make it because so many things just kind of didn't fall into place when we were fixing the car and getting it ready to go. So I went down Wednesday and we stayed in the RV Wednesday so we could take it out Thursday morning to go to the track and do the test and tune, and started up Wednesday. It sounded fine. I mean, didn't sound like it used to sound, but we were also out of the car for so long and we were seating it in, and we didn't change a whole lot in the engine, but we did change one thing. So we were like, maybe it's just that. I washed the car at like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, we didn't get done till like 1 in the morning after I've been working on the car.
So washed the car at 11 o'clock at night and then slept in the RV, took it out Thursday morning to go to the track and do the test and tune. I didn't have a whole lot of opportunities to like really drive the car before we took it out. So I started driving it around the track on Thursday, and I didn't like the way that the steering wheel was hitting my knees since we put the steering column in, because before I used to have the tilt steering wheel, so I had it all the way up to the top. Tilt column, I had it all the way up to the top, and whenever I was moving like my foot to the brake, my knee was kind of hitting the steering wheel. So we spent like an hour moving the seat back so I could make a pass.
Happy. Yeah, I wasn't happy.
Yeah, it's not fun to move the seat. Fixed the belts, readjusted the belts, eventually got the car ready to go take it out around, I would say, like maybe 4 o'clock.
Yeah, because
it didn't start till 1.
The test didn't start till 1.
Yeah, it was like 1 to 7. So I'm driving up to the lanes, just trying to make sure I hit all the gears, since we just fixed the transmission to make sure everything was good there. And right when I got to the lanes, car stalled, and I was like, that's weird. Like, it didn't have any issues running before. So Dad tried it and it kept stalling, so we were like, okay, well, like, we'll just raise the idle, which should have been our first clue, because whenever we had to raise the idle, normally something goes wrong, but everything was fine up until that point. So I went to make the pass. My line lock didn't work because we forgot to ground that wire, so we were rushing, but it's okay, I power braked it. And the whole plan was just to take it to the 8th mile, shake it down, make sure that it was all broken in, everything sounded fine. Left the 2-step super soft because we left it from what it was on the Halloween bash when I was trying to hit the Pro Tree without the delay box, so I only left it like $3,000. And I let go. It left good. I mean, it had a decent 60 foot. It left good for what it was. Had a 140.05 60 foot for leaving that soft, which was pretty good. It revved right up to $7,000, which is a little bit lower than I normally shift it, but it went right up. I was only going to shift it at like 5 or 6 just to seat it in, but by the time I was done just making sure the car was straight, it was already $7,000. I'm like, all right, well, I'll short shift to 3rd. So if you watch the video, which I'm going to attach in a couple seconds, but if you watch the video, you kind of understand why it's like I hit 2nd and then it's like half a second and I hit 3rd. I intentionally short shifted it just to make sure everything would be okay. It was fine in 2nd. It was fine initially when I hit 3rd. It did sound a little off, but not like crazy. So I let it sit there for a second, and then I heard the sound, I'm like, don't like it. And the way that it sounds in the video doesn't sound nearly as bad as it did in the car to me at the time. I was like, definitely don't like it. So I lifted well before the 8th mile and I just coasted, and I still didn't like the way that it was sounding when I was coasting, so I just turned it off and I just let the momentum go to get me onto return road. Had oil pressure when I shut it off. Oil pressure was completely normal, so I'm like, this is kind of weird. I mean, oil pressure was great, everything was fine up until that point. So we drive the car back and we start looking at things, and we find that we bent a valve, which I'll attach that in a second too. But like, okay, well, like, I have extra valves at home, but there's no way that we could get it in time because our spring pressure is too high that we couldn't do it at the track. It had to go to the machinist, and there was no way we could get it to the machinist, get it done in the morning, get back before qualifying on Friday. So I'm like, well, what else did we do? So we started doing compression tests, and everything was fine in most of the cylinders except for number 8. I was down a decent amount of compression. 1 through 7 were fine, but just cylinder 8 was down pretty bad. So Dad's like, all right, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, let's just load up and go home. And he's like, well, we can try and make this race. He's like, do you want to make another pass? And I'm like, I don't know, like, what's the worst that could happen? Like, am I gonna hurt something else more? And he's like, probably not, no.
It's already hurt. So.
Yeah, he's like, it's already hurt. I'm like, if I don't want to, like, wipe out an entire engine, I can't afford to rebuild it. And he's like, it'll be fine, just go and make another pass. So this is another part of where things went wrong.
Yeah, we'll attach this video too.
Yeah, we have this video. We didn't tell anybody about this video because, quite frankly, it's embarrassing, but it is not my fault.
And it's funny, in a way. It's funny now.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault. So we go back up for the second pass. I'm doing my typical, are you sure it's going to stay together? Are you sure it's going to be fine? Are you sure it's not going to blow up? Are you sure I'm not going to have to spend, like, $15,000 to rebuild this? Like, I don't have $50,000 right now. Like, and he's like, just run the car.
Yeah.
So
Paul, my machinist, says if there's not enough room in the combustion chamber, don't worry about it because the engine will make it. Might not like the result, but it'll make it.
I don't like that.
She doesn't like that saying.
So I go down, I do my burnout, and I'm racing another person this time. He goes down, he does his burnout. He pre-stages, I pre-stage. I can't remember who pre-staged first. Doesn't really matter. I stage the car. I see that his stage light comes on. So I get on the trans brake and the 2-step like I normally do. I always wait until the other person's stage light comes on if they stage second, because I'm not just going to sit hammering the 2-step for however long. So they stage the car, and I'm like sitting on the 2-step. I'm like, why is this tree not dropping? And I look up, and the stage light for him went out. So then I just put in reverse. Well, I come off first, and then they back us up. So I back up, and they have us restage the car. So he goes, stages, I go and stage, and I'm trying to press the trans brake button, and it's not holding. And I'm like, tell me this is going wrong now. And then I'm like, oh, wait, the box is counting down. So I'm quickly trying to override the box, and the tree's coming as I'm literally hitting like clear on the box. So I quickly get on the button, release the button. So I have like this amazing 278 reaction time because I was overriding the box as the tree's coming down.
All this time too, the engine's hurt.
Yeah, so I was like sitting on the 2-step, and then I like came off. I'm like, my car is now probably about 10 degrees hotter, if I remember off the top of my head, than what I normally run it at. So I'm like, I clicked the second fan on just so it could cool down, but I was like, so just like trying to override that box and make sure I at least got a decent hit. Car goes on the throttle stop, comes off the stop. 60 foot was completely normal. I put my normal like starting timer in for it just to, like, this was the timer that I normally just run just to get a base if I have no idea. And it normally gets me pretty close, and it went like 11:25 at 1:26, and I was like, yeah, no, like, I mean, I know I could take the throttle stop off and I could make the index, but I'm not going to hurt the car to do it. I was down about 10 miles an hour, and I didn't want to do that to the car. So we go to take the car home, and the wheel bearing on the RV is now messed up. So it's dropped the car off at Flying J, go home, get my truck so we can tow the trailer home. So have to go back, pick up the truck. Then we drive the RV to a racer's shop so they can fix, Dale's shop, so they can fix the RV. And we take the truck home with the trailer, and we had the head fixed the next day, actually. We took it up to the machinist.
Shop first thing in the morning. I'm like, yo, Paul, got some valves.
So, got that fixed Saturday. The next part of where things went wrong is I pull up my invoice Saturday, and I get the part number for my lifters, order the lifters from a company that says they have them in stock, and they come, and we drop them in, and they are not the right size lifter. We had it was too short. We had like 200,000, if I remember correctly. 200,000, and we couldn't have that much. So we called them, and they call the company that actually did my cam, and he's like, we don't have these lifters in stock. We were told, and it's not their fault, they were told by the company that manufactures our lifter that they would have
like
been fine. Yeah, that they would have had it weeks ago, and that this product was theirs, and it was just rebranded with a different company's name because they're private labeling, and it was not the same. So quickly try to send those back, order another set of lifters for the car to come this time. So we were gonna test last weekend, and it was a beautiful weekend, but because of the whole lifter situation, we couldn't get the lifters in time to test. So the lifters came in midweek this week. We dropped them in. They work. They're normal. Started the car up yesterday and needed to tweak a little bit of things, but it sounds great. Took it into the shop where my dad works and started fitting the hood for it because we're putting a new hood on it. And the goal is to be at the Open this week running Super Street, and then to stay for next week at ACO and run Super Pro and Door Slammer. Haven't bracket raced in a while other than Halloween Bash. Haven't top bulbed in a while, but I think we'll be okay. Everything's right. So goal is throttle stop this week for Super Street, and then following week let the car run all out. Hopefully we'll have some minor tweaks to the engine and see if we can really optimize that power, but just want to fill you in on what went wrong because people keep asking. They're like, well, did you break anything else? And I'm like, no, it just spread the lifter. It just swelled up, and it probably took half an hour to get it out of the hole.
Yeah, what we had to wind up doing is we thought initially worst case scenario was that we'd have to take the whole engine apart to get the lifter because it went in the hole, but it wasn't coming out.
Yeah, and we have some pictures and videos of everything.
So what we wound up doing is
which I'll attach.
We pulled the cam out, which Cecil made that job a heck of a lot easier, and beat the lifter down, and luckily the lifter fell on the connecting rod, and we were able to get in there and grab it with a magnet, and then take another magnet and run it through the cam tunnel.
Took about 3 magnets.
Yeah, 3 magnets and play an operation. We wound up to get the lifter out, and got the new lifter, threw it in the hole, measured the old lifter. The old lifter spread about 2.7 thousandths. That's why it wasn't coming out of the hole, because there's only about 1.5 thousandths clearance on the lifter. And luckily we didn't shoot roller bearings all over the bottom of the engine, because usually people say that usually goes first. And we had that happen once before. So that's how we wound up getting it out. And like I said, we were fortunate because we didn't have to pull the whole engine out.
Sorry, he doesn't listen to me for directions.
Yeah.
We drive 295 all the time, and he doesn't listen to me for directions.
Keep brakes up the pass, so what do you want from me?
He could go in the middle lane,
okay.
But he's not, because this lane ends, this lane goes to an
I'm
exit.
Not just moving lanes all over the place when I got cars beside him.
He doesn't
So
listen.
anyway, but that's how we got it out. We got lucky with that. Wound up putting everything back together. Now the lifters go up and down. They're all there. Now it's a new thing now too. With I'm gonna have to start measuring the base of the lifters before I put the engines back together now.
Honestly, I think we're just gonna swap them out every 2 years. Just buy another set next year and just get them rebuilt and just keep swapping them every 2 years. Because lesson learned. We never had the issue before because we always ran hydraulic cams. This was our first 2 years on a solid roller.
And this spreading was a new one. And oh yeah, the interesting way how we wound up getting it out from the tie bar is, without making a total mess with the grinder, was a bolt cutter. We cut the tie bar and then...
We will not be rebuilding
and then cut a chunk out of the lifter to get the rivet out, and that's how we were able to bang it through. So that was Jamie's great idea. It's like, you got bolt cutters in your trailer. It's like, let's try cutting it before we start trying to grind it and get metal thrown all over the engine. And that worked out really well. So if that ever happens to you, try bolt cutter before you start throwing grinding dust all over the inside of your engine. So
again, goal is to be at ACO this weekend for the Open. It's free spectators, so if you're in the area, definitely show up, support the track. It's always a neat show because you get to see the sportsman racers. So, I mean, it's free. What else are you going to do?
so many of those cars have a history to them. It's not just these cars have been in families since they were new practically. So that there alone is interesting when you start talking to the owners of the cars. Other than the fact is, they all look like they shouldn't be racing. They should be in a museum.
So we'll be there. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I don't want to say that we'll for sure be there because at the rate things are going, something usually pops up. But I think we're okay this time, hopefully. So hopefully we'll see you at ACO this weekend. If you're not going to be there, we'll definitely have some type of video if everything goes all right to put up in the car passes, out of the car passes. Yeah, hopefully with the new hood. I'm going to have to get used to it, so that'll be this weekend's objective.
I'm going to have to paint it.
Yeah, that'll be this weekend's objective, get used to the new hood. But, yeah, so stay tuned for the ACO Open, and then when I bracket race at ACO for the first time in probably 2 years where I've done a Super Pro race. So that'll be interesting. So thanks for watching, guys.
Now, AFR uses decent valves. And then this one here, it just clipped it. It's usable still. We cut the seat. Okay. But if you just see right...
yeah, it's got a little dink in it.
You can just see where it
clipped.
As long
as it doesn't...
In 24 hours, we got the head fixed. I put the gun in the garage, in the car already.
You know what I would do? That gun would go back. I wouldn't keep it.
These gun? It's not the hole is not the correct size. It's the whole lifter like squashed and got.
I'm hoping myself because if you can get it that way, it'd be awesome. Where's the flashlight at?
I just saw it somewhere.
Where's the flashlight?
I'm on it.
Yeah. Well, I want to shed light on the holes. Can I take these out?
Yeah.
Am I on it?
I guess we're not rebuilding this lifter.
Yeah. Hey, can you do this? Can you rebuild this lifter?
How were you looking at that?
Well, I'm not on the lifter, but I'm through the cam bore, so.
Well, I'm saying because you can see through each hole, and that's why I was going to say if I can.
Since maybe I can guide it to a later one.
Where did this go?
Can't believe that big thing sat there and won't
Oh, onto that.
pan.
Got it?
Yeah.
Alright, where's this one at? Feels like I grabbed it.
try to pull that big one out.
I can't see, but
Do you feel? Yeah, you got the roller.
okay.
All right.
Just
All right, pull it.
tell me when to stop too.
Um,
Am I still bringing it with
yeah,
me?
you're still bringing it.
Okay.
Gently. Because the lifter gets the roller just cocked. Let me see if I can pick up the back. You know, on the bright side, the pan looks clean.
All right. Do I keep coming
Yeah,
now?
keep coming.
All right.
Keep coming. It's almost there. Just like the X-Wing fighter. Almost there. Bang. Boom.
X-Wing fighter. Where do we get X-Wing fighter from? What do? Do you
I don't know. We're going to figure it out as we go along.
do you pull it off? And, you know, you pull the one off. And, is it strong enough?
One I got is this one here is strong. Which one? The one I'm holding it with.
You have a screwdriver too.